Alright, so first off, all praise to Yahawah, in the name of his son, YAHAWASHI, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops, Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, Shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. Now, so this is going to be part two right off the heels of the previous video with the same title. So if you are clicking on this video, all right, and are not understanding what we are speaking about or where this is coming from, go back to part one, okay? Also, being that we are on part two, part one is uploading now. I only have, all right, a little over 10 minutes to do this part two. More than likely, we are going to need more than 2 videos to finish the point. All right, so let me just go ahead and get started. Let's go here with the fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended. So to get started with this, I'm going to reference the video that started this whole that we started with in the previous video. So hold on a second. All right, so listen up.
The past, like our ancestors are passing on to us this big suitcase full of things they accumulated, and they tell us, we carried it for hundreds of years, now it's your turn, now you carry this baggage. And I think what we need to do is open the suitcase and sort it out. We don't really have to carry everything that's in there. Some of the things there are wonderful, yes, let's keep carrying them, but it would be good to get rid of some of the baggage in there.
That's such a powerful way of putting it. It reminds me of one of my favorite memes, which says that traditions are just peer pressure from dead people.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my roommates in college was from Germany, and he used to, when people would dump their baggage on him from the past, he would say, "Stop suitcasing on me."
We get this.
All right, so dealing with this thing that they call suitcasing. All right, when really, it's these people trying to avoid, all right, this reciprocal justice. All right, for another example here, okay, another example of one of the forefathers of this country. Okay, he was going through the same thing, but he understood more so what the Most High, what Yahawah and YAHAWASHI was going to think about, right, the things that they've done in their past. So let's look at this quote from Thomas Jefferson. Okay, let me see. I tremble. Let me see. Which I might use this as the thumbnail for this video right here. Okay, so I tremble for my nation or my country. Okay, so it didn't take much to type in for it to come up. All right, so it says the famous quote, "Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just." I'm going to read this verbatim, all right? "Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever." It says, comes from Thomas Jefferson, specifically from his notes on the state of Virginia. Okay. It says, in a letter to George Washington, expressing deep concern over American slavery and the potential divine retribution for it, Jefferson feared that a nation founded on liberty yet reliant on bondage was defying natural law and God's justice, risking revolution or divine judgment. Now, I do want to get this entire quote, though. Oh, I'll read some more of this, all right? It says the meaning of the quote, and then I'll look for the original, the entire quote, because it was more than just that one sentence that we read. It says, meaning, Jefferson saw slavery as a fundamental injustice that contradicted America's ideals, warning that God's justice would eventually bring about an upheaval, possibly through slave revolts or a societal reckoning, because commerce between master and slave is what is it? Despotism. It says the context, it says he believed true liberty required universal freedom and that a republic built on slavery couldn't last, facing inevitable consequences. And these consequences are more detrimental than even Thomas Jefferson could imagine. All right. But at least he didn't say there, all right, stop suitcasing on me. All right. He didn't say that, which shows that this Edomite empire, all right, is more low than the previous. All right. They are the same people. All right. We all are our ancestors coming back. Okay. But these people are trying to escape justice, which is what a fugitive does, all right? Escape justice. Now that was a curse that the Lord put on Cain, all right? And the spirit of Cain fell upon Esau, okay? Let me see if I can find this verse really quickly, and then we'll get the entire quote. Fugitive and a vagabond. All right? This is all the way back here in Genesis 4. Okay? Genesis 4 and 9 says, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Being a little smart ass, right? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground, as does our blood that is spilt all over this country. All right, all over the planet, really. All right, but a lot of it is here on this land, all right? Babylon the Great, America, okay? Genesis 4 and 11, it says, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy land, or from thy hand, excuse me. Genesis 4 and 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. All right. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. That's another way that you can say, stop suitcasing on me. My punishment is greater than I can bear. That's ultimately what he's saying. All right. But what is a fugitive known for? All right. Escaping justice. Okay. And that's what these people have been doing. And when you bring up their past, they want to throw some stop suitcasing on me. They don't want to acknowledge their history. Okay, so let me find this. Let me see. Listen to this now. All right. Again, speaking about the quote that we're going to look for in a second, it says this famous quote is attributed to Thomas Jefferson, appearing in his 1785 book, Notes on the State of Virginia. Context and meaning. It says the subject, Jefferson wrote these words as a direct denunciation of slavery. Now watch how double-sided these people are, okay? Fear of divine justice. He expressed deep anxiety that because God, all right, God is inherently just, he would eventually punish the United States for the unremitting despotism of the slave system. It says Jefferson warned that his justice cannot sleep forever and feared a revolution of the wheel of fortune, where the enslaved might rise up and trade places with their masters through supernatural interference. That's exactly what's happening. All right? The Spirit was put on him to say these things, man. Okay? Now, it says the quote is prominently inscribed in, hold on. The quote is prominently inscribed on the northwest wall of the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C., as a part of a panel focusing on his views against slavery and for the necessity of education. Despite these strong moral condemnations, Jefferson remained a lifelong slave owner, holding more than 600 slaves or 600 people in bondage throughout his life. All right, you see how double-sided these people are. But the Lord put the Spirit on them to fear, okay, what is going to happen when the Lord comes and collects what you Edomites owe, okay? I want to look up unremitting despotism. Let me see what this is really quick. All right. Unremitting. All right, let's see what it says. I put explain in simple terms what is meant by unremitting despotism. It says unremitting despotism describes a form of governance where a single entity, usually a dictator or an oppressive regime, right, the Edomites, maintains absolute and continuous control over the people with no limitations or relief from their authority. All right, a breakdown of this unremitting says this means never stopping or continuous. The control is constant and without a break. Despotism says this refers to a system of government where a single person or small group holds all the power, often using it unfairly or cruelly, without regard for laws or the rights of citizens. When combined, the term describes a situation where the people live under a form of government that is always oppressive, allowing no freedom or challenge to its authority. This term is notably used in historical documents such as the United States Declaration of Independence to describe conditions that justify significant action like revolution. All right, there's no revolution that's going to happen outside of the one that YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI is going to bring upon this earth that's going to get us out of this. All right, we are coming up out of our punishment. Esau is on his way into his, which is why he wants you to stop suitcasing on him. Stop reminding him of these things that his ancestors, which are him, okay, they are their ancestors and so are we, all right? But they want us to stop reminding them of who they are, okay? So what? Okay, so I'm getting Thomas Jefferson's full quote, okay? Still didn't bring it up. All right, so let me just go here to images. It might come up here, all right? Yeah, so it reads, here's his full quote, all right? It says, I tremble for my country when I reflect that Yahawah, he didn't put Yahawah, he put God. I'll read it verbatim. All right, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever, that considering numbers, nature and natural means only. A revolution of the wheel of fortune, an exchange of situation, is among possible events, that it may become probable by supernatural interference. The Almighty has no attribute which can take side with us in such a contest. You knew that they was doing wrong, man. All right? He knew it, but he couldn't stop doing it. That's the spirit that the Lord put on these people. Okay? He had a feeling. He didn't come out and say, stop suitcasing on me. He said, man, we fucked up. All right? Now, speaking of that, what did it mention in here? A revolution of the wheel of fortune. An exchange of situation is among possible events. Now, the Lord mentioned his judgment being likened unto a ring, right? What goes around comes around, basically. Okay, let me see if I can find this. All right, so this is in the Apocrypha. So let me see what the good news says. I didn't bring that in here with me either. So 2nd Ezra 5:42. All right, give me a minute. All right, that was a spiritual thing that he said there too. Okay, 2nd Ezra 5:42 in the good news.